and then you'll be all right. Okay, so now we're testing with Aleph. Yeah. Oh, the Zmanim for tomorrow, that has to be on the recording. Luke mentions 5:30, right?
Yeah, 5:35 is month.
5:35. So 5:30.
We gotta make up already. We changed the clock.
Yeah. So now, well, the thing, the dafim in the Dharma are pretty short, so they should be able to be done on Fridays. Meaning the other years what we did is Thursday night, like an extra half Amud or an Amud. So maybe tonight we'll try that because tomorrow's Amud blot is a little bit longer than the standard Nedarim, but we'll play it by ear from week to week because most of the blot in the Nedarim are pretty short that they could be done. So tomorrow let's call it for 10 to 5 is a little too early, no? Is 10 to 5 too early?
I mean,
Not
do we have a
too
choice? Do we have a choice?
No, I'm saying we could do 5 o'clock and hopefully get it down by 5.
To the Lucky Snares.
Yes. Hadlokas Neres man said that Hadlokas Neres is 5:29. Okay, 10 to 5. 10 to 5.
Matzah Shabbos.
Matzah Shabbos, what time is 72? Is 40.
It's an hour and a half after Lucky Snares.
Oh,
6.
Very good.
he's on a roll.
Took about 3 years for us to get wise
7
here.
o'clock.
So 5:59.
So we'll do 7:20. 7:20.
Yeah, I was a bottom yet or not yet?
Yeah, but I think my kids are burnt to that. So for me, I don't know who else is in Nageya too.
I think I'm still
Landau.
I mean, I do it.
Start again next year.
Yeah.
What age do you start?
I'll listen to the share afterwards.
Yeah. Okay. So let's do it 7:20. Then we'll see next week already. Exactly. Stylen wants to have it later, like regular time. I went to Shabbos. We could do that, or 7:30 next. Meanwhile, this week we'll call it for 7:20.
What did you say? Friday?
Okay.
What time?
Friday 10 to 5. Okay. So Zok the Mishna. Yeah. Tesamad Aleph. So some interesting things in tonight's stuff. Also, Kinidrei Rishayim. So now we start getting into what are considered yadas. Right? What's considered other using other terminologies than the standard neder terminologies. So Kinidrei Rishayim, let's say a guy says, I'm making nedarim like Rishayim. So then that's a neder. So that could be a neder for Nazir. Uve korban, or it can be a neder that would have to make him bring a korban. Uve shavua, or it could even make him make a shavua. Right? So again, if he says kin nidrei rishayim, and we're going to see in the Gemara the pshat is because rishayim are the ones that make nedarim, because nedarim are hard to keep. So if you keep nedarim, if you make nedarim, you have a problem. Right? So therefore rishayim do it. So he said when he says kin nidrei rishayim, he means to make a valid neder. Right, and then it would apply to neder, nazir, korban, and shavua.
He said the word
Kin nidrei rishayim.
and that means
He's making a neder the way rishayim make it.
and that what consequence it becomes a Nazir.
What does it mean, Rishayim?
Oh, so we have to see that in the Gemara exactly.
So
what do we call rishayim?
So then the consequences are he becomes a Nazir.
Mm-hmm.
He has to bring korbanos or korbanos.
What? If he makes himself, he says.
Nazir brings 3 korbanos, Naftali.
Right, but he's talking about the neder, nazir, and then korban is even without it. Right.
He said the word Kinidrei Rishayim, and that's it. Or he said Kinidrei Rishayim a Nazir.
No, he said Kinidrei Rishayim neder, or Kinidrei Rishayim nazir, Kinidrei Rishayim korban, or Kinidrei Rishayim shavua. Then he would be chayav for all these things.
Okay.
Right. Well, we'll see in the Gemara exactly what's going on here.
He says I'm making another like a Russia, it means that he has to do all.
No. For each one independent. Okay, let's make that clear. He's saying nidrei rishayim, then he could either have to make a neder based on that, or a nazir, or a korban, or a shavua. I mean, I guess he could do all of the above. But he'd have to mention it. He'd have to mention it.
He's saying the words Kinidrei Rishayim neder, or he's saying
Yes.
Kinidrei Rishayim nazir, or he's saying Kinidrei Rishayim
No,
korban.
he's saying Kinidrei Rishayim, and then he shows that he's making a neder. Right?
Okay. Or he's becoming a Nazir?
Or he says Kinidre Rishoim Nazir. No, he's not saying Hareini Nazir or whoever Hareini Alai Nazir, which is the standard terminology. He's saying this. Yeah. Kinidre kesheirem, but let's say he says I'm making the nedarim like kesheirem, lo yomar klum. He said nothing. Why? Because kesheirem don't make nedarim. People that are kosher don't make nedarim because they don't want to be nichshel in not keeping the neder. Right? But if he says kinidvaisam, like their nedavos, like the nedavos of kesheirem, then he can make a neder, or it can be a nazir, or it can have to bring a korban. Right? But not a shavua, because shavua they don't make. What's it called? The kesheirm don't make shavuas, right? So therefore, the kesheirm could be going on neder, nazir, and korban. Okay, so now the Gemara asks the Dilma hachi kamar. Maybe when he said kinidre rishayim, so we're assuming when he says kinidre rishayim, he's making a neder, right? Maybe that's not what he's saying. The Dilma hachi kamar kinidre rishayim loy nedrana. Maybe he's saying, I am not making a neder like the Rishoyim do. How do you know that he's making a neder like the Rishoyim? Maybe he's pointing to this food, right? For whatever reason, the Rashi and the Ran like to use a kikar, like a loaf. Maybe he's pointing to that loaf and says, Kinidre Rishoyim, right? On that, and he's saying, I am not going to make a neder on that. Okay, maybe that's what he's saying. So Shmuel says, no, but Aimer Kinidre Rishoyim Hareini Alai. He says, like the nedarim of Hashem, they're on me. The heimenu, or he says, or from it, or hareini ben nazirus, or I'm in nazirus, alai be korban, it's on me a korban, and heimenu b'shvua, right? So he added on, meaning he didn't just say kinidre rishayim, he added on either kinidre rishayim hareini alai, or he said, or hareini alai v'heimenu, or he said, "Kinidre Risham Hareini b'Nazirus, Kinidre Risham Alai b'Korban, or Kinidre Risham Hemeno b'Shvua." Right. So he was very clear what he was doing. He just didn't say Hareini Alai. He just said this is a Shvua. That he's I'm doing like Kinidre Risham. So what I asked, Hareini Nazirus, Dilma Hareini b'Tainis Kamar. When a guy says Hareini b'Nazirus, maybe what he meant is that I'm going to fast. Right. Yeah, because people would say, I mean, I don't know why dafka fast, right? So mainly me, because what is a Nazir staying away from? From wine, from tuma, cutting hair. So he's staying away from worldly things. So maybe when a guy says Hareini Nazirus, it's like he's making a neder, like that he's staying away from things, which maybe is food for today, and that's it. So Shmuel Kishaya Nazir over lefanam. No, this is talking about where a Nazir was passing in front of him. So when he says Hareini Nazir, right, that means that he is referring to the guy passing him by, not a tinus. Right? So Gemara says Alai bekorban, right? Okay, whether we have that or not is, but Heimenu b'shvua, Dilma Heimenu dachilna kamar. Maybe when he says that he's making a shvua that he's going to eat it, we're assuming that he's making a shvua that he's not going to eat it. Maybe he's saying a shvua that he's going to eat it. No, it's talking about where he said that he is not going to eat it. So what's the chiddush? Right, why shouldn't it be a shvua? No, Mao the same. He didn't use the word shvua, right? All he said is kinidvaisam. So Kamash Malan Hadin. So therefore, it tells you. I'm sorry, not nedavos. He says kinidre rishayim, and then he says heimenu shaloi ochal. So therefore, he's clearly saying it. But even though he didn't use the word shvua, it's fine. Yeah. Okay, so that's how we explain the first part of the Mishnah. So again, when he says kinidre rishayim, he's adding on to it either nazir, neder, shvua, or korban. Fine. Then the Mishnah says, but if he says kinidre kesheirem, since kesheirem don't make a neder, say lo yamar klum. He didn't say no. He didn't say anything. Kinidvaisam, but if he says like nedavos, then yes. Now first we have to understand what's the difference between a neder and a nedava. Right. So a neder and a nedava, the basic thing is that a neder, the person is responsible for the animal. Meaning, if I make a neder that I'm going to donate a certain amount of money to tzedakah, well, let's stay away from money. Let's say I say that I'm donating a car to tzedakah, and I have in mind a specific car, and then that car gets into an accident and it never made it to the tzedakah, then I have to replace the car. That's a neder. A nedava says, I'm giving this car as a present to the shul, right? If that car gets messed up, you're not mechuyev to replace it. So a nedava has a lot less risk to it than a neder. Because let's say the car gets smashed and he had made a neder, it's not so easy to replace that car with something else. If the guy doesn't do it, he really did something wrong. But it was just a nedava, there's not that much risk. So that's why kesheirem make nedavos, they don't make nedarim. So we're going to see that there's a Machlokes tanoim if it's a good thing to make a neder or not a good thing to make a neder. So let's see. So our Mishnah clearly differentiates between neder and nedava. Our Mishnah is not pro making nedarim, but our Mishnah is pro making nedavos. Right? So because it says if you say like a nedava of tzaddikim, then that works. Well, you don't say the word tzaddikim, but kinidvaisam, so then it works. So let's say our Mishnah is not Meir and not Rabbi Hillel. Why? The Tanya, because we learned in the right. So toiv asher lo sidor. So the pasuk in Hillel says it's better not to make a neder, and the pasuk ends with than making a neder and not paying. Right. So what does the pasuk mean when toiv asher lo sidor? It's better not to make a neder than to make a neder and not pay. So toiv mizeh umizeh. She'ein anoida kol ikers. So Meir learns the pasuk that it's good not to make nedarim. That's all. Whether you pay, not whether. Well, obviously, if you don't pay, that's terrible. But even if you're going to make a neder and pay, you still shouldn't do it. That's where Meir understands it. It's dangerous to make nedarim. Rabbi Yehuda toiv mizeh umizeh neder u'mishalem. What does it mean? Toiv mizeh umizeh. The best is somebody who makes a neder and he pays up his neder. Right? So that's a Machlokes. Again, Rabbi Yehuda is saying that the best is to make a neder and pay it up. Meir is saying the best is to not make a neder. Either way, our Mishnah doesn't fit according to either one of them, because our Mishnah says that tzaddikim don't make nedarim at all. Right? So and it's mashma, it's mashma that you don't make nedarim or nedavos. That's the way the Ran says it. Yeah. So therefore, again, our Mishnah seems to be saying that tzaddikim or good people make nedavos, not nedarim. And Meir seems to be anti both nedarim and nedavos, right? And Rabbi Yehuda is pro them if you pay them back. Right, so it's neither. Our Mishnah is neither one of them. So Gemara answers, "Afilu temer Meir." We even say that our Mishnah is according to Meir, who seemingly says that you should not make nedarim or nedavos. Okay, so then what's pshat in our Mishnah? On Amud Beis. Yeah, we're on Amud Beis before 9 o'clock. It's pretty good. Ki kamer Meir. When did Meir say his? Yeah, but it's very fast. When did Meir say his din? Neder. He said it only by a neder, but nedava lo ka'amar. So meaning in the Havamina, we thought that Meir said don't make nedarim and don't make nedavos, and we're saying no, nedarim don't make because that's much more strict. Nedavos you can make, yeah, and Mameli fits into our Mishnah. So where it says v'hakatani kinidvaisam neder ben Nazir u'bekorban, but our Mishnah says kinidvaisam that there's a neder ben Nazir and korban. And then what? It became a neder. Right? It became a neder if you do that. You gotta mute, please.
No worries.
Doctor, you gotta mute, please. Yeah. So what are we saying? So meaning in the Mishnah it says that one can make a neder by saying the terminology of nedava, but it's going to be a neder. How can you do that? You're not supposed to do that. According to Meir, you can make nedavos, not nedarim. So what are we saying? So if a guy says, I am making a nedava, either that I'm a Nazir, like those that make nedavos, I'm either a Nazir or a korban, so then that's a neder. But how can we say that? Meir says not to make nedarim. So that can't be that kesheirem are making nedarim. So Gemara says Tani nadav ben Nazir b'korban. It doesn't say neder ben Nazir b'korban. It says nadav. So he ataka made a nedava, right? Which we're going to see in a minute. How can you have a nedava of a Nazir? I mean, you could have a nedava of a korban. That's fine, right? You can give a present of a korban to the Beis Hamikdash, and you have a present of making a neder that I'm promised I'm going to give somebody something. But how do you make a present of a Nazir? Right?
That the Nazir has to be the only thing that we're talking about here. The nedava of the korban is a form of neder.
Yeah, but the responsibility that you're taking of it is different by nedava than it is.
Krayas is different than a neder.
Yes.
They're both nedarim.
Yeah, but it's
both in the category of neder. You can say
correct,
neder the korban. It's the kind of neder that's called a nedava by a korban.
Correct.
So korban's not shver. Nazir is the only thing that was shver.
Well,
All the Gemara answered is nadav. Well, how does that help?
What do you mean? You're saying that
the kasha of the Gemara wasn't really on korban; it was on Nazir.
Okay, you could say like, even though the Gemara says all three, right? The Gemara said the top line. But Katani can advise him.
Neder, but Nazir of a korban. There's only two. It is a neder by Nazir.
No, neder's one. Nazir, neder's one. Nazir's two. Korban is three. Right?
Oh, I read it wrong. Wait.
I think that's the way it is, no?
I thought neder means it is a neder regarding.
He's making a neder using the terminology of a nedava, but it's a neder.
Yeah, but it works by nazirus and korbanos.
Correct. No, and by neder too. It's a neder for whatever he decides to make. Whatever he makes a neder on, it's a neder, no?
No, I don't think so.
Why not?
I mean, I'm not trying to argue. But because
you could argue 100%.
The lashon of knedvaisam, what? The lashon of knedvaisam doesn't imply that anything's asur to me. Knedvaisam means that it's asur to everyone, meaning it's a korban.
Correct, but that's a terminology that we're saying can be used to make a neder for anything. Meaning, if I want to say that I don't want to have dessert tonight, so I say, can advise some neder. So I'm making a neder based on those that make nedavos, that it's not allowed. That what
the term shavua means in the ratio of the Mishna?
No, shavua is a whole different story.
Hareini alai, that was the Gemara, no?
Because it's going, shavua is going on the Gabra.
Right. And
Either way,
it can't mean that. So it can't mean, there's no neder in the Mishnah anywhere. What we're calling neder in Sefus Nedarim is not in this Mishnah.
Correct. It's a different lashon. It's a yad.
Okay.
Right? Anyways. But okay. So now, so the Gemara is saying again that you have to fit in the word nadav in the Mishnah. Okay, so Gemara asks, so now again we're saying that chachamim, whatever, tzaddikim, regular people, not rishoyim, right? So what are they going to do? They're making nedarim and they're not going to make nedavos, right? Oh, so we were supposed to discuss what rishoyim are. So I think where's the Ran? The Ran, it said it doesn't mean that they're rishoyim. For this thing, they're rishoyim, right? Meaning it doesn't mean that these guys are rishoyim. Why would a Rasha ever go make nedarim? What we're saying is that somebody who makes a neder and doesn't keep it is a Rasha for that, right? Meaning you could be a partial Rasha, Yeah, that's the end of the Ran. The Ran says that
So he's
somebody
saying he's going to make a neder to be a Nazir, like someone that makes a neder to be a Nazir that doesn't keep it.
what?
He's making a neder
No, because
to be
he's
a
not.
Nazir, like
No, you
someone
hope that he's going to keep it, but he's saying I'm making a legitimate neder, like those people that make nedarim, and they don't a lot of times, or most of the time, they don't keep their neder. Why is the guy doing it? Then you can't ask kashas. If you're going to throw that, then we might as well stop nedarim. If you're going to ask why these guys can't just use a regular standard terminology, well, then we would have one less Masechta in Shas. Right? It's always like this. I'm saying, why did the guy in Yavamas have to marry 3 wives and then go off and whatever, and do this and do that, and make him Meshuggah? Right? Anyways, okay. So Gemara says, 3rd line down, Mishna neder deloi. How come neder na dilma asi bali de takala? Right. So why are we saying that good people should not make nedarim? Because you're going to come to takala, because you're not going to keep the neder. The nedava nami, loi. Maybe also a nedava person shouldn't make dilma asi bali de takala. A nedava you could also come to takala. Right. He might be over on bal ta'acher. Or he might, meaning pushing off. He didn't bring the nedava. You have 3 yomim tovim officially. Sometimes it could stretch to 5, but you have a certain amount of time. Or if you have this nedava animal in your yard, you might end up using it, which is also not allowed. So they're both can come to takala. So why would tzaddikim do nedavas and not nedarim? Well, that's just the other way around. Meaning the same way they don't do nedarim, they shouldn't do nedavas either. Because bottom line is we're trying to stay away from takala, right? It's sort of this thing that you guys all get on me for not making brachas, like on thunder, lightning, and all these type of things, right? So Rav Hutner's attitude towards these things was stay out of trouble. You know what I mean? Don't start making brachas and you don't even know the halachas of the brachas. You're not having the proper kavanah with the brachas. So all these optional brachas, better to stay away. Right? Just better to stay away. You're getting into less trouble. Right? It's safer. It's safer to do that. So here too, it's safer. Don't make nedarim. But we're saying nedavos you could do because there's less risk. But there's risk. The Gemara is asking there's risk. So Gemara says no. When it means to make a nedava, do it like Hillel Azakin. Hillel Azakin. The Tanya Amar al Hillel Azakin Shalom al Adam ba Eilasei Kol Yomov. Nobody was ever over on Meila on any of Hillel Hazakin's. This is obviously Hillel Hazakin is not Hillel, because Hillel Hazakin was around when the Beis Hamikdash, right? So Hillel Hazakin, nobody ever messed up on his oilers. Why? Because he had a good shtick. Mevia kishehi chulin la'azara. He brought it when it was chulin into the azara. I mean, he brought the animal. He didn't say boo about what he was doing with this animal. He schlepped the animal up to Yerushalayim, brought it to the Beis Hamikdash. Now, when it means le'azara, he couldn't do that because you're not allowed to bring chulin into the azara. What it means is he brought it to the doorway. As the Ran says, he brought it to the door of the azara. He schlepped up the animal instead of making it. You think the truth is it's a pashut the thing. It makes a lot of sense to do this. We said this yesterday. When you give tzedakah, so you don't mess up if the guy collecting tzedakah leaves, you don't have to chase him. We said don't make it into tzedakah until you hand it into the guy's hand. So that's essentially what Hillel did also. Why make it the animal hektish when you're at home and then you're risking taking it up to Yerushalayim? Hillel brought it up to Yerushalayim, even though the Gemara says he brought it into the Azara. That can't be, the Ran says. It has to be by the door because you're not allowed to bring it into the Azara before it's hektish. And then umaktisha, and then he made it hektish for Saimachaleh, and then he brought it right into the Beis Hamikdash. He leaned on it, and then sheichted, he shechted it. So he basically, I don't know what the time frame was, but it took him 5 seconds. The whole thing was 5 seconds, so nobody ever messed up on his. So that's exactly what it's saying, that chashuvim will make nedavos. That's the way they did it.
What's the problem with the nedava? Something happened. It's on the animal.
No, but you take your animal, you make it to a nedava, right? And then on your way to bringing it up the animal, you get tired and you lean on the animal. You just messed up, right? Or you put your packages down on the animal. You just messed up. You're not allowed to be. It's cactus. What? Right. So you can't. Right.
If you get a nedava for a car,
same thing.
You got into an accident.
No. Well, a car to a shul is a different story. Yeah, that's not hektish. But yeah, there is. You if it belongs already to the I don't know how it works with being makna a car to a yeshiva. Didn't they say Rav Scheinberg said that he would not. I heard this, I think, from my father. He said Rav Scheinberg would not take a Rosh Hashiva. He said, let the Rosh Hashiva be Masada Kedushin, not an 8 Kedushin. Because it's impossible for a Rosh Hashiva not to be nene from hektish and stealing from the yeshiva when he's meaning using something in the yeshiva that he really wasn't entitled to, but he's in charge, so he can get away with it. So he says we have to be afraid of that. So he better the Masada Kedushin should be the Rosh Hashiva, not the 8 Kedushin. I'm pretty sure.
Well, it's a good thing Jerry's not on tonight, you know.
yeah. So anyway, so
why
so
does the Brisa say oilus, not shlamim?
Yes, I don't know. I don't know why it just picked olives. I don't know.
Yeah, uses that. It's mashma that you could be moil with this shlamim.
Maybe. I don't know.
Moil in a shlamim after it's been nishchat.
I'm not sure. Okay, so let's see. So the Gemara says, nedava the korbanos. So that all makes sense. You can have a nedava for korbanos. So that's how you can go. You can make a nedava for korbanos, bring it up to the Beis Hamikdash 5 seconds before, like Hillel Zaken did. Nedava de Nazirus, ma'ikal. What are you doing about nedava de Nazirus? Right? Meaning, if somebody makes a nedava, meaning he uses a lashon of nedava that he's going to be a Nazir, right? Now you're a Nazir for a month. You can mess up doing that. So how do you have a voluntary? I mean, every Nazir is voluntary, but how do you can have it in the time in the? How can somebody chashuv make a nazirus as a nedava, meaning that it's not such a risk of messing up? How do you have that? You have nazirus, it's 30 days, right? So how can a kosher who's not afraid of messing things up be a nazir? So Savar la Shimon HaTzadik. No, so he held like Shimon HaTzadik that somebody who's legitimate l'shem shemayim could be a nazir. The Tanya, Amar Reb Shimon HaTzadik. Miyamai lo yachalti. Shimon HaTzadik was at the end of the Beis Hamikdash, right? He was a kohen gadol. Miyamai lo yachalti asham nazir tamei. In my days, I never ate the asham, the korban asham that a nazir tamei had to bring. A nazir who was tamei, meaning he became tamei within 30 days. So he has to bring 3 korbanos. He has to bring the standard 3 korbanos of a nazir, which is what is it? 2 birds and I don't remember what it was, but he has to bring an oila, chatos, and a shlamim. And since he messed up, he also has to bring an asham. So Shimon HaTzadik said he never ate the asham from a nazir. He didn't want to have anything to do with that. So Ella echad, only one time he did. Why? Because pamachas ba'adam echad nazir min adarim. There was a Nazir came from the south, received Shehu Yafei Naim V'Tayv Roi, and we saw that he had nice eyes and he was good looking. The Ketzvais of Sturas like Taltalim, and his hair was all beautiful and curls. Amarti Loi B'ni Mari Isa L'Hashchas Esarech. So this Nazir came up and he said, "What are you doing? Why are you cutting off your hair?" Zehano Mara Isa L'Hashchas Esarech Zehano. Why are you cutting your hair? That's so beautiful. Amarli said to me, I was a shepherd to my father in the city. And I went to fill up water from the well or spring, whatever it is, when it's takalti, and then I saw my face. Right? Meaning back then they didn't have mirrors, so nobody really knew what they looked like.
Disrespect.
Right. You show your fast tire.
Yeah, they didn't know. People about themselves didn't know what they like. You're supposed to know what you look like, right?
Wasn't that the Tain on Yosef HaTzadik?
What?
Wasn't that the Tain on Yosef HaTzadik?
Well, he was making himself look nice. I don't know if he knew that.
But that was 2 things. No, he brushed his hair in a mirror. Was
it a mirror? Did it say you used the mirror?
I thought.
I don't know. Either way, the mirrors weren't so readily available. And then I got overpowered by my Yetzer Hara because I was so handsome. I could go out to the world and accomplish lots of things. And that my beauty wanted to get me out of this world, meaning from Olam Haba, because it would make him do improper things. So he said, Amarti lo Rasha. I said, you're a Rasha. Why are you trying to make yourself like haughty in a world that doesn't belong to you? But Mishu Asad Lias Rima Vasilea, for somebody who's gonna end up being worms and the types of whatever worms and these type of things. Right, that's true. This could be our musr. So he's saying you're ending up in the dirt anyway. So why are you making yourself that you're so great? Havaida. Now avoida is a lashon of a shavua. I'm going to shave off my hair to shamayim. Miyad mandi. So that's what he told Shimon HaTzadik. So this Nazir. So Shimon HaTzadik was not pro people making themselves Nazir, but this guy, he was very happy with me. He says, Shimon HaTzadik said, I stood up and I bin a shaktiv al Rosha and I kissed him on his head. Amarti loy b'ni kamaycha yirbu Nazir Nazirus b'Yisrael. Like you, we should be marbe Nazirus in Yisrael because you did it for the right reasons. And Allah HaKazav Aymer ishki af lindo neder Nazir lahazir l'Hashem. If a person makes a neder to make a neder for Hashem, so this guy was a legitimate Nazir. Now the thing is, so I guess, but he did mess up. It must be, right? That's why he bring an asham. So it must be, even though he came to cut his hair because he must have become tameh, right? Because it says Shimon HaTzadik only ate his korban asham. So you see, even somebody like that who was a tzaddik still messed up from the nazirus. Whatever it is, that's the type of nazirus that somebody choshev would make. Fine. So the maskul money
in Sheva Yipul Tzaddik Vikam. That's why the word Tzaddik is after Yipul, not after Kam.
I hear. All right, that's a good musavar.
Now we got the nigga of the daf in.
There you go. That's true.
I think you can find that in every daf if you really want to look. That's the excited. That's the Yeshida falling down.
yeah, true. Yeah. So anyway, so maskef Ramani. So Ramani has the kasha. Mishna Osham Nazir Tomei Deloy Ochel. How come so we're saying that Shimon HaTzadik didn't want to eat an Osham because he didn't want to have to do with something having to do with Avera. The Asi Achet, because a korban Osham always comes because somebody did something wrong. Kol Osham is Nami Loy Leichel. He should never eat anybody's korban Osham. A korban asham by definition comes because somebody did something wrong, right? So he's saying, I don't want to eat the asham of a nazir because I don't want to be involved with somebody who did something wrong. Okay, and regular people's ashams, you do want to be part of, they also did something wrong. So I know time. The reason is the real reason that Shimon HaTzadik didn't want to eat from the nazir's ashams because when people are scared, that's the way they're teaching it, and they have charata on averas they did geyserin, so then they make like a gezeira on themselves of nazirus kesheirm metamin, but then when they become tameh, and then their nazirus they start piling up, because basically what happens, let's say the guy has real remorse, he hears a good musar shmooze, he's feeling bad, he says, you know what, I'm going to become a nazir. So he becomes a nazir, fine. A week later it becomes tameh. Okay, so now he's got to bring 3 korbanos, shave his head, and then start the nazirus again. And then it happens again. Now the guy's starting to go crazy. So then, ukashen betamin v'ravan alein yemei nazirus, and it keeps piling up. Meschartin behen, they regret it, right? They have charata. V'nimtzu mevi'in chulin lazara, and then they have to bring chulin lazara, meaning because they have charata over their nazirus, and therefore they end up messing up.
The charata makes it.
So that's what he was worried about. What?
The charata is paid for it.
Well, that's the question. He needs to go to a Rav to be. He can't just decide it on his own, right? That's a good point. Yeah. Okay. So that's really what he didn't like it.
It's full as well because of the charata.
Yes. Right. So if that's the case, then a Nazir Torah too, because maybe a Nazir Torah is also going to mess up. So Gemara answers, Nazir Torah loy. A Nazir Torah is not going to mess up. Damude Amit Nafshe, the Yochel Linda, because he's going to evaluate himself very well that he's able to make a neder, and so since before he does it, he's able to make to evaluate and see that he's able to do it. So then he can maintain. Meaning, for 30 days he can maintain it. More than 30 days to maintain the nazirus is much more difficult. I can't say I fully understand this teretz because either he can maintain or he can't maintain. I understand. I mean, every Nazir, when he first accepts the Nazirus on himself, he evaluates on himself that he's able to last the 30 days. Right? So so I don't clearly understand that, but that basically Shimon HaTzadik was afraid of people keeping the Nazirus not properly. Fine. Okay, so now let's just continue to do a little bit more on the next stuff because it's not really that difficult. So again, we're looking for who's the Tana of our Mishnah because we have a Machlokes.
I was excited. We finished. It was 9:14. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I think we'll make tomorrow easier unless you want to stop here. Whatever.
No. Go.
Tomorrow's is a little longer, the daf, so it's longer for Nedarim size. It's also it's a teretz based on the same kasha. So again, we had a Machlokes Meir and Rabbi Yehuda. Meir said making no Nedarim, we initially thought he said you shouldn't make Nedarim or nedavos. Then we said our teretz was that, and Rabbi Yehuda says you can make Nedarim as long as you pay them back. So that didn't fit into our Mishnah. So he said no, our Mishnah is Meir because Meir says don't make Nedarim, but you can make nedavos. Now we're saying a different teretz. Viva Yisema on Talmud Aleph now. Afilu Tema Rabbi Yehuda. We could even say it's going according to Rabbi Yehuda, who holds that you are allowed to make nedarim as long as you pay them back. But Kiyom Rabbi Yehuda ben nedava. So when Rabbi Yehuda was saying his din, he was saying it by nedavos. Ben neder loy omar. So now we're changing. We're mama's changing Rabbi Yehuda. Until now we thought Rabbi Yehuda felt that as long as you could do a neder and a nedava and you pay it back, you're fine. Now he's saying no, don't do this with nedarim. It's too risky. But for nedavos, it's fine. So the Gemara asks, "Vakatani toiv mizeh umizeh." It says it's better than this one, and this one is neder umakayim. Better than everything is somebody who makes a neder and is makayim it. So how can you say that Yehuda means a nedava? He says beferish neder. So my answer is tani neder umakayim. No, learn it that it says neder umakayim, not neder umakayim. So we're changing what Rabbi Yehuda said, meaning somebody who makes a nedava and keeps it is a good guy. Somebody who keeps and makes a neder and keeps it is not a good guy because it was too risky. Oh, so Gemara asks,
how does that fit into the pasuk? The pasuk says tidoyer, not tidoyer.
Yeah, I don't know.
Quran speaks about it. He says he bets in directions like a mayor.
You're gonna even Meir, I don't understand how that works. Right?
It's better that you don't vow.
Yeah,
I see.
But nedava, you could. Nedava is good to be nedava mekayim.
Yeah, meaning it's just one terminology being used, but not anything more than that. Yeah.
Look on nedava. Meir holds nedava is not even good. If holds nedava is fine.
Right.
But Yehuda is more medayik and meduyik in the pasuk. Toiv mizeh or mizeh is like Meir, but what's the toiv though? The pasuk's mashman that something is better. Meir is saying nothing is.
Yeah, very good. So then the Gemara asks, so why are we saying neder? Not because he might come to takala. Same kash as before. Why are you only worried about somebody making a nedarim? And if you make a nedava and you don't keep it, then you also messed up. So Rabbi Yehuda Tamei, the Amar Adam maybe kivsasai la azara. A person can bring his keves, his lamb, into the azara. Umakdisha v'saymach le'ah b'shaychta, just like Hillel Azakin. Basically, Rabbi Yehuda was saying, I mean to do a nedava like Hillel Azakin, which is bring the animal up to the Beis Hamikdash. Again, it doesn't mean into the azara; it means to the door of the azara. Make it hektish, then go inside the azara, lean on it, shecht it. The whole deal took 5 seconds. Is not going to be a nichshel. So what it says, Tinach Nedava, the korbanos, that fits for the Nedava of korbanos. Nedava the Nazirus ma'ikul and Meir. What are you going to say about Nedava and Nazirus? How are you having a Nedava and Nazirus? The same shakalatari as we had for Meir. Yehuda Tamei, the Tani Rabbi Yehuda, Aymer Chasidim Arishonim, how you misavin lahavi korban chatos. The Chasidim Arishonim wanted to bring a korban chatos, but how are they going to do it? Why? Since they're Chasidim, Hashem is going to make it that they're not over on any Averis. So since they're not over on Averis, how can they ever bring a korban chatos? Right? Meaning somebody who brings a korban chatos means he did something wrong. So these guys wanted to bring a korban chatas. Oh, but we can't do anything wrong, right? Even if they want, it seems like even if they want to do something wrong, Hashem would make it that they're not going to do something wrong, right? That's what they said with the.
That's why they started davening after the shkia, so I could do something wrong.
If you would say after this mantfila, okay, after the shkia, there's what to rely on. But this is what they said by how could it be that there's bugs in the water in New York? That means Ramosha Feinstein or Yaakov Kamenetsky, they all drank bugs, and it can't be, right? That was one of the tiniest, right? But as we're saying, a takala, it can't be a takala. So how are they going to bring a korban chata? So ma'ayu oisim, I'm doing misnadru nazirus lamakom. They would get up and they would make themselves into nazirim. All right, kadesh yischayev korban chatas lamakom, because one of the korbanos that a nazir has to bring is a korban chatas, and therefore, since they brought in the korban chatas, then that's the way for them to that. Since they wanted to bring a korban chatas, that was the way for them to bring a korban chatas.
I thought I didn't understand anything that happened the first 7 blocks, so now you hit me with this.
Well, we tried to do it.
To bring a korban chatas. Oh my goodness! I never did an avera. I never brought a korban chatas. How can I go forward in life?
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Wasn't there a gadol who once divorced his wife so he could be machzir grushasa? Is that a true story? Right?
I thought they say first that
I thought that was the joke with Moshe Feinstein. The guy goes and gives a divorce, and he pulls out a ring, and he says, "Arei HaKadosh." Moshe said, "What do you do?" He says, "Civic training is Mishna Zoy."
Yeah, I don't know. Is there a mitzvah machzir grushasa? What?
If one is the kind of mitzvah, if he's marching.
If you machzir the grusha, yeah.
Don't we always say that if you don't do an avera, that's considered as if you did a mitzvah legabe that? Like it's almost like.
Yeah, I would say you're better.
Is there a
off.
Concept like that?
I don't know.
The fact that they didn't have to bring isn't that like almost like they brought the chazos, but they didn't have to? Something like that.
Yeah. Listen, I can't understand what this means. I don't know. I don't know what.
The Gemara says somewhere that when someone brings a chatos, he's supposed to be keilu he was nikrav on the mizbeach. That's the kavan.
That's also wonderful. Thanks for that great thought, also, Gershon.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know.
The guy should have davened that he should have lived during the Crusades. Nebuch, he didn't live during the Crusades.
Why? Living through the Crusades is a mitzvah?
No, he would have been killed in the Crusades, and they would have burned him. They would have burned him on the stake.
You're saying
in Spain. Should have lived in Spain. Should have been burned.
Rav Aaron does not like Rabbi Akiva. Rav Aaron does not like Rabbi Akiva. What he said at the end of his life.
Well, that he wanted to be Mekayim B'chol Ma'adecha. Well,
right.
If you're on
Rabbi Akiva's greater than
level,
Rabbi Akiva.
What?
What are we?
Aaron's greater than Rabbi Akiva.
No, I'm just saying. It's almost like the whole Machlokes Rabbi Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan and Zakkai. Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. I'm sorry, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Legabe learning Torah. Like not everyone's on that madrega.
All right, listen, it's hard to understand. Okay, so let's do a few more lines because Rabbi Shimon disagrees. Rabbi Shimon disagrees, and he says, "Loim nadru ben Nazir." They did not make nedarim. The tzaddikim, the chassidim, whatever they call them, the chassidim harishonim, did not become nazirim. Ela haraitza lahavi oila. If somebody wanted to bring an oila, misnadev umevi, you bring it. Any oila, you can bring it. A nedava. The problem is that a korban chatas can't be a nedava, right? Can't make a present of a korban that's meant to come for somebody who does an avera. So if you want to bring an oila, you make a nedava, you bring it shlamim misnadev umevi taida va'arba mine lachma, korban taida together with the 4 types of breads. You also bring, right? There's 10 loaves of each, right? Misnadav umevi. Haval ben Naziros lo yisnadvu. But the Naziros they did not make themselves Naziros kadesh lo yikaru chaytim, so that they shouldn't be called chaytim. Why? Because the pasuk by Nazir says shenemar v'chiper olav me'asher chata ala nefesh. It says by the psukim that the Nazir has to bring after his Naziros is over. It says that he should have a kapara for the chet that he did. So what? So somebody who's a Nazir is called a chayte. So therefore, the Chassidim Harishonim did not become Nazirim because they did not want to be called chaitim. So it's mamash a big machlokes, right? Rabbi Yehuda held that they dafka became nazirim so that they could bring a korban chatas, and Rabbi Shimon saying fakert, they did not bring it because a nazir is called a chaitim, right? Anyway, so that's quite an interesting machlokes. Two total opposites of what exactly happened there. Anyways, okay, so we'll stop over here.
See, Yaakov, a carbon
We'll be able to finish that on tomorrow, Bez Hashem. What?
A carbon tide you're always allowed to bring?
A carbon,
right? So if you want to bring it, you could bring it.
yes.
I thought it's only been makam certain scenarios you're able to bring a carbon.
Well, really, it's only supposed to be outside, right?